Coach, now that you had some time to digest it, just what were your biggest takeaways from Maui? What did you like? What did you need to work on?
Well, I think the biggest would be balance. Want to get a little more balance. We've got to get our post guys involved a little bit more than they have been, and that works both ways. They've got to do their part. Our perimeter guys have to do their part, and still, there's not one area that we can say we're there yet. We've got to continue to improve. Again, I'll always talk about our ball screen defense, and we've got to do a better job of keeping our hips square. We got beat too many times where we gave up straight line drives that put us in rotation and took us out of rebound position. But fundamentals, it goes back to the fundamentals. We've got to continue to build those.
Coach is one of the few spots that y'all are a little more thin. Just how beneficial do you think it is playing Edie Dickinson and now Baycott this week?
Well, you talked about three of the premier best post guys in the country, and they all have a different game, but they all present problems in the fact that they know where they want the ball, they know what they can do with it when it gets there. But those guys are good too because of their supporting cast. I mean, they surround themselves with, like I think Purdue does a great job with how they run their schemes, and certainly Bill at Kansas is what he does with his group to get them to understand where he wants the ball when he wants it. And I think Hubert Davis has done a really good job blending these young guys in with where they want them to be, and I think they're a much improved team from a year ago. And I look at all those teams, and I throw us in there too. We're all going to get better if we continue to work the way we need to work.
Where is Zakai in terms of settling in and getting comfortable with being back on the court?
I think that's it. I mean, he's such a competitive player, and we all love him for what his DNA and what he's about. But like any player that goes through what he did, I mean, his frustrations it would be that think that, hey, because no one has worked harder than he has to get back, and thinking that he's going to be able to pick it right up. I mean, it's hard to go as long as he went without really getting the feel for the time off, even though he worked, he did everything he possibly could. But he's pressing, but we practiced that Saturday. I thought he was really good. I think he learned. We talked about things that we need to improve from Maui trip, and obviously we need to have consistent good guard play, especially at the point position, and he knows we're counting on him to do that, and he's all about our team. He's all about winning, but he wants it back right now. He's more hard on himself than you can imagine, but he'll get it.
Is there any idea yet if Freddie is short term or long term, or how long?
I think it's day to day. I mean, we got back and he didn't do anything with us. We got to get him healthy. That's a tough one. I mean, if you don't get it fixed, it'll linger all year, and we don't want that. I mean, we're still in November, and we got a long way to go, and so we got to make sure we get him totally healthy before we get him back out there.
With Zakai, would starting be a thing for him, that maybe he settles in and feels the rhythm of the game differently that way?
You know, good question. All those we think about, and I think that, again, that's a great question, because I'm not sure of that answer, but it's something that we thought about with him. All we know is that when he's going to get it, and when he's out there, he changes the floor on both ends, but we have to make a move maybe to help him mentally. That's what we would do, but I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure about that in terms of because I really don't care who starts. I don't, because we've got an experienced group of guys and I don't think they care. They want to win, and they know we've got guys we've got to get into the rotation in the best way we can do that. And but we're not afraid to look at it.
How do you feel Jemiah has handled the point guard position so far?
I think he's pressed hard. I think he's tried to be been overly aggressive, and he knows it because he wants to make it happen now, and he comes in and he wants to change the game. That's what he's done. But he's going to be fine. I mean, you look at his numbers; they're not impressive, obviously, but that's not who he is. We know who he is. We believe in him. His teammates believe in him. We know that he's a game changer. He's a major factor, but I'm not surprised. I think as a coaching staff, we knew he would, as much as he worked and was out here practicing. Games are different, and but he's been there before, and again, he'll get it back.
Rick, can you pinpoint maybe why Josiah was aggressive in game one and maybe not as aggressive in the last two games?
Well, I think the one guy I was concerned about in the last game was him. He played more minutes than we wanted him to play. I think and it was tough. I mean, I don't know. Well, I do know. I've never had to get a team up at 6:30 morning to go play a basketball game, and we had to do that twice. And but he was the one guy going into the game with Kansas that I was concerned about because I thought his matchup was important. And but Joe, I do think fatigue was a factor with him in the last game, and that's my fault. I should have. That's on me, and probably should have got some other guys out there, but he'll be fine. Joe will be fine too.
Coach, I know you've played these guys a bunch at a bunch of different stops, but growing up there a couple hours away, does it still put a little extra pep in your step when you go back?
Maybe years ago, Rob, not now. It's first of all, I've got great respect for the University of North Carolina, and I mean, it's a storied tradition, and everyone from North Carolina knows about it, know what it's about, and I have great respect for Hubert Davis. He was when I became a head coach, was the very first player I recruited, and he grew up literally. His high school was literally a quarter of a mile from George Mason. He would come over and shoot at George Mason. I can remember sitting on the front bricks out in front of the gym talking to him, and at the time he wasn't being highly recruited, and obviously he grew up wanting to go to North Carolina. I did in high school play against his uncle, Walter Davis, and so he grew up a huge Carolina, and he basically just said, hey, give me a chance, and he went there and made the most of it, and just a great human being and a person I have great respect for. His whole staff. I mean, I've watched all those guys that seem like grow up through the years, but the fact is that I've always thought these are the two leagues that should be playing a challenge, being as close as we are, borders up against each other, and I think it's going to be good for both leagues.
What did you like about what JP gave you against Syracuse, and what are kind of the next things that he needs to do?
We were all. Those were huge minutes, and to be quite honest, we weren't sure what we would get because we're still waiting on him to understand what we know about him. We think he's got a chance to be a major factor, but we've got to get him understanding how hard you've got to play and the little things you've got to do. And when you're playing the kind of competition you're playing this time of year, possessions matter. I mean, you're going to be in a possession game and you realize it, but when he went in, those minutes were valuable, maybe the most valuable minutes for us as a program because we know he can do it. And he went in and did the things we wanted him to do, just getting his hand on the ball, and he's going to end up being a shot blocker. But the more he understands how much we need him and the more he understands how hard it is to play this game night in and night out will be really the key to how quickly he progresses.
A few more for Coach.
You talked this preseason about wanting to shoot and play quicker on the offensive end just through 6 games. How would you assess y'all done there?
Well, we are. We missed a lot of shots now. And I mean, there's when you shoot it, that's what I'm talking about balance. We got guys that we have what we would call green light shooters. If they're open, we expect them to shoot it. But when those aren't going in, where we got hurt, especially in the Kansas game early, we weren't getting any thrust on the boards. We were shooting it and had good shots. I don't really, maybe one of those shots is what I would consider a high quality shot, but we had good looks at it with the right guys, and but we did not have any pursuit on the glass. And again, we want to play quick, we want to play fast, but we've got to have more activity going to get it, not just making the effort to walk in there. We got to go get it. And but overall, what we're doing, we just got to continue to get better with it, continue to shoot the ball, but we've got to get a little more balance with our inside guys touching it.
When you look at the last 2 games, would you say it's more about getting to a quicker start or defending better?
No, I don't think it's any one of those. I mean, you're playing high-quality teams, and we're right there. I mean, they're talking, 1 and 2 teams in the country, and do I think we're as good? Yeah, I think we are. But that doesn't matter unless you win the game. But I'd rather learn something right now because I actually told the guys I didn't think we played as hard in the last game, and I can make all the excuses I want in terms of Kansas only had to play one real tough game. They got Chaminade, but they still too had to get up early and they play later than us. So these are all the things that people throw at me. But when I watched the film, what I saw was that we didn't play as hard enough as we needed to. And I could say it was that fatigue with Josiah, definitely. I could say that because he put a lot of minutes in. But overall, it's just a matter of everybody understanding that we've got to get better. And we might have gotten the wrong message if we'd have won the last game by not putting the kind of effort in that I think it's going to take to win a championship. And so we got to make sure we can never take that for granted. And but we still need our young guys to make quick jumps, but we need our older guys to continue to get better too.
What's the next step for Jordan Gainey now that you've seen him kind of have a few games under his belt?
Well, I mean, you know, the narrative out there, I hear it all the time, and people ask me about it, is, you know, when he and Dalton were in the game, you know, we're better offensively, but we're not as good defensively. And the other way, with the older group, we're better defensively. But when Kansas made their run, we had our older group out there. So that I'm not sure that's true. I mean, it's a matter of what I would say about Jordan. I'd say about Jemiah, Z, Santi, Josiah, Shaq. We all have to get better. All coaches, we all got to get better. And I mean, do I want to see all of us? I don't want to be in a situation where you have to go offense, defense, all that. I don't. I want those guys to look at. Each guy's got to look at what they've got to do right now to get better, and understand the role on the team they're playing right now, knowing full well roles can change as the season goes on. I mean, JP could make some things happen if we could get some consistency from him. And I guess the message that I was talking about the other day is just that consistency. What are we going to get every day from each guy and from our team? And once we get that, we'll get moving in a direction that we want to go.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.